Well, here we are. It's Tuesday, getting closer to the middle of the week, which leads to the end of the week. I don't know what it's like for you, ladies and gentlemen, but when the postman comes and I open up the door and I have to sign for something and I don't know what it is, I know my wife has been up to something and I just roll with it. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey.
Yes, as Wayne said, I did order this one and he didn't know anything about it. We are members of Blind Barrel. We do that quarterly and we're getting ready to do one very soon. So stay tuned for that. So we've gotten the most recent release of the Blind Barrel piece, but they have other offerings that come up as well. And they sent out this email saying they were clearing some stock out, making some way and everything else. I was unfortunate that I did not see the email immediately because I went in there trying to get a bunch of stuff. They had quite a few Doc Holliday things, but I was a little slow on the trigger, let's say, but thrilled that I was able to get this bottle at a phenomenal price. Let me tell you a little bit about what's on the table. This is the Doc Holliday 12-year The Last of the Lost Barrels. It is a straight bourbon whiskey by the World Whiskey Society. It was distilled at Ivy Mountain Distillery in Georgia, aged across Georgia and Texas, bottled by the World Whiskey Society in Pendergrass, Georgia. The mash bill is 80% corn, 10% malted corn, 5% rye, 5% malted barley. It was aged 12 years. It is Cask Strength Hazmat at 140.2. The typical price for this is $300. However, we were able to get this on this special deal on June 16th for $149.99. It is non-chill filtered. This is barrel number 653, which yielded a very small run of just 102 bottles. This is bottle number 36. Now, what do they mean by the last of the lost barrels? As I noted, it was distilled at Ivy Mountain Distillery in Georgia by a legendary fifth-generation moonshiner, Carlos Lovell. It underwent an accidental wild aging journey. It moved across Texas and then moved back to Georgia. This happened over a 12-year period, which explains why it's such a remarkably dense, tiny yielding barrel of only 102 bottles. So what do you think about that?
I just wonder what car they stuck it in the trunk of to drive back and forth. It sounds silly.
No, they weren't driving back and forth. There was a move that happened, and it was there, and then it got moved back again, and kind of stayed there, and that's why these barrels were considered lost, because they weren't sure where they were and all this other stuff. But I just thought it was really cool. We have another Doc Holliday. I think the other one we also got by Blind Barrels. It was one of their single barrel offerings, and they do a lot of really cool stuff. The other thing I really wanted to get, and you've probably seen the one that has a decanter with the gun and everything else, is they had that on like half price, but I missed that by moments, I believe, being able to get one of those, because I didn't want to spend the money on the full price of that, but it's pretty gitchy and it'll be pretty fun to have around if I could have gotten a really good price on it. But I'm thrilled to have this one. What a fun story. It's a hazmat. We just recently did the hazmat show last Friday. Hope you enjoyed that. We didn't have this bottle yet. This one actually came in the mail. I think we're actually sitting in a Whiskey University class when it arrived, and the doorbell rang, got a sign for something, and I was in class, so Wayne left class to go check it. I'm like, oh, it's my Doc Holliday bottle. I was pretty excited.
I was like, I have no idea what just came.
This is really dark. Really, really dark.
Well, this is baking spices.
It is deep and dark.
What
did you think about that mash bill?
Very interesting.
80% corn, then 10% malted corn. I've heard that corn is really difficult to malt. To get it to do that. So we're talking 90% corn here.
Yep.
By an ex-moonshiner. So kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Kind of corny to me. Oh, man. I tell you, if you get in there, you get the alcohol.
I'm getting some phenomenal legs forming, by the way. You just have to be patient with it and not swing it around too much. And then they will, because it's so heavy, so viscous, it takes a while to drop. And I'm getting cinnamon notes, dark, 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 almost burnt caramel on the nose from that 12 years. That's a lot of heat. Texas and Georgia, that's hot. That's very hot weather. I'm ready to taste it, though.
A lot of banging spices. I'm looking forward to this taste. So cheers to Doc Holliday. Let's see what this shot is like. Cheers.
Cheers. That is firing on all cylinders. Wow. There's a lot of char.
There's a lot of oak. This one I'm actually getting more of a dark, like chocolate.
Almost coffee for me because it's so deep, dark, and not sweet, right? It is definitely char notes. If you're not a barrel person, probably stay away from this. Just saying.
Absolutely.
We don't mind it, especially if we're getting coffee or mocha or cocoa. We kind of dig the barrel notes at that point. But there is a light sweetness too. That caramel on the palate is lovely. And then it starts going, as it gets the mid-palate and back, it starts getting darker and darker and more savory. And that's where the coffee, cocoa starts coming in for me. I don't know how it is for you.
It is barrel notes to begin, and it's barrel notes in the middle. And then as it gets to the back, then it changes and it goes away from that and it goes to me, it's a dark chocolate, and it is a coffee. And I'm a big coffee person. I could drink espresso, except that I would shake incredibly and not be able to stop. But it's got sort of that rye. I'm almost tempted to go out in the kitchen and get some heavy cream to pour in the coffee. You know, this is very different. And I'm thinking about our recent hazmat. This would have actually done well.
Yeah, because it is flavorful. It has a lot of barrel notes. And I know it's just barely a hazmat at 140.2. And we had some things that were up in the 150s. But this does not drink over 140 to me. It doesn't drink like a hazmat. I think it's got a lot of flavor. And it's not burning the heck out of me. It's no more than like a 125 would be if you're drinking it, I think.
I think the burn for me is at the very beginning. And after that, it just kind of settles in. You know, the other hazmats that we had, you started and then it built. This one starts and then it dissipates. It's very good. This is a very, very yummy bottle.
And how fun. What a fun story. I mean, one of the reasons we like Booker's is for the story that goes with it. Well, this one has a journey story, right? So to be a fly on the barrel as it traveled and did things for 12 years, that's been kind of crazy.
Well, probably the driver was probably seasick going back and forth, you know.
I don't think it went back and forth. I said that. It's like they were moved to Texas and they were there for a while, then they got moved back to Georgia.
Well, it went
They
back
were
and
just
forth.
driving back and forth.
Well, it's just back and forth and back and forth. That's enough to go ahead and just.
They didn't drive on the highway for 12 years, Wayne.
Well, what'd they do? Throw it there? Put it on a plane?
I like the nose. I mean, the nose is very inviting. I was afraid it was going to be hot on the nose. It was not. Of course, I approached it cautiously, knowing it was a hazmat. And this bottle was just opened an hour ago. So it has not had a chance to really breathe. Typically, I like to open things at least 2 hours and things of high proof at least 3 hours. But we knew we were going to be traveling and not able to do a lot of videos on the weekend. So we're doing this after a long work day. And this is a great pour to have after work, just saying.
Well, so far, all three tastes that I've had, it's been the same. For me, it's barrel notes at the beginning, hits you in the face kind of with the proof, gets to the middle, dissipates down, and comes to this like darkness, this chocolate. It is a little bit of coffee. If there's any burn, I think it's just the proof. I don't get cinnamon on it. I don't get red hots or candy or anything like that. This is a dark baby.
And when I first take a sip, I get a little bit of cinnamon on the front of my tongue, just as it first enters my palate, but then it switches and goes to that dark caramel, and then it quickly switches, as you said, goes to back, the mid-palate and back, starts switching into that dark chocolate and coffee, so almost as mocha-esque, but I'd probably want some sugar if it was my coffee. He likes it without sugar, but I'd probably want some sweetener in it. But for bourbon, I think it's all good. I like it. And this is a fascinating mash bill, a fascinating story. 12 years old. We have one of only 102 bottles of this that was ever made. I think that's kind of cool too.
Well, we're not going to give our address unless somebody comes in and busts in and tries to steal this bottle.
It's really good.
So I'd like to raise my glass to Doc Holliday and this wonderful hazmat that we had the opportunity to buy that came in the mail. I didn't know what it was. Now I do. If you like what we do, hit the subscribe button. Always remember to drink responsibly. If you have Doc Holliday, take a shot at it because Doc Holliday was a good shot back in the day. Cheers.
Cheers.